Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Complete Works. I am your host, Doug Hess. If you're tuning in to The Complete Works for the first time, I'd like to welcome you. A little idea of what we do here on The Complete Works, as you can imagine from the title of our podcast, The Complete Works is what we're doing is we're looking at the film history of a specific movie actor, actress, director, or composer, and we're kind of just working through their film history and career. Currently, we're working our way through Nicolas Cage film career, and on this episode of The Complete Works, we're going to be discussing Between Worlds, starring Nicolas Cage. If you'd like to find out more about what we do here on the Complete Work podcast, please go to film-book.com. Again, that's film-book.com. And by using the search term, The Complete Works, you can also email us at podcast@film-book.com. Again, that's podcast@film-book.com with The Complete Works in the subject line. If you like what you hear in this podcast, please hit the subscription button. So every time a new edition of The Complete Works is available, it'll be automatically sent to you. As I mentioned, we're on the movie Between Worlds, starring Nicolas Cage. Also, Franca Potente is in this movie as well. Penelope Mitchell is also in here. This film, Garrett Clayton, Linda Hurst, and Hopper Penn are also among the cast that is starring in the Between Worlds film. This was directed and screenplay was written by Maria Plura, P-U-L-E-R-A. Hope I'm saying that name right. On the film, it's roughly 90 minutes in length. Now, when it came to the box office, it made only about $146,000 when it came to what it grossed in the film. Now, as you know, when it comes to this podcast of The Complete Works, how I like to work is to give a little bit of the trivia, some trivia. When it comes to this particular movie, Between Worlds, unlike some of our later or past episodes of The Complete Works, not really a lot of trivia on this particular movie. But at the same time, a couple things I want to talk about. We'll also go over the storyline of the movie, Between the Worlds, and then we'll finish it up, and I'll give an update of what I thought of the film. So let's go ahead and jump right into this edition of The Complete Works. Again, Between Worlds, starring Nicolas Cage. So one of the trivia that I wanted to point out is when Joe, played by Nicolas Cage, is asked to read from memories to Mary. The book is titled Memories by Nicolas Cage. And there's a scene in there where you can actually see Memories by Nicolas Cage. This is a fake book, just to let you know. This is Nicolas Cage's third movie to be filmed in Mobile, Alabama, and the fourth time he plays a character named Joe. One of Nicolas' lines in the Con Air film back in 1997 was, "We don't treat women like that." The main theme has been composed by famous film music composer Angelino. I don't know why I can't say that. Angelino. Now, this last name I might butcher, so please forgive me. Badalamenti from the TV's Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and Arlington Road. And then the last piece of little trivia that I want to mention today here is Phil Baker is playing the character of manager, and he ad-libs the line calling Cage a boil on my ass in the trucking company office scene. So again, not a lot of trivia, but something I just wanted to mention out there. This film was released on December the 21st, 2018. And like I said, it only made roughly about $146,000 in its release. So what is Between Worlds all about? And let me just kind of give you a quick storyline where the story follows Joe, played by Nicolas Cage. He's a down on his luck truck driver. He's haunted by the memory of his deceased wife and child. He meets Julie, who is played by Potinta. She is a spiritually gifted woman who enlists Joe in a desperate effort to find the lost soul of her daughter, who is Billy, played by Michelle Powell. But the spirit of Joe's dead wife, Mary, provides a little bit stronger than Julie anticipates, possessing the young woman's body and then determined to settle her unfinished business with the living. So that's kind of a quick version of what happened in Between Worlds. That's kind of the storyline of 4 or 5 sentences I was able to jot down real quick. Now, what I found about this film is I would say it's a supernatural thriller because we're talking about spirits and ghosts, etc. But I also thought there was some dark humor that was placed inside the film as well. So just a couple of quick thoughts on that. So let me go a little bit deeper into the movie. Like I said, it's only 90 minutes, roughly an hour and a half in length. Um, but at the same time, I don't want to spend too much time talking about all the details of the movie. I don't want to give everything away, but I also would like to describe a little bit on the movie. So in the film, we said Nicolas Cage plays Joe, who is a truck driver. He looks like he's self description. We could say is that he says that he smells like 3 days on the road, and Joe is understandably, since he's mourning the death of his wife and his daughter, so he's depressed. He's not really taking good care of himself in terms of that. So when we start this story out, or the movie, it begins with Joe coming upon a woman being strangled at a gas station bathroom by a man that Nicolas Cage or Joe beats up. The woman, Julie, is played by Potinta, is upset rather than grateful for Joe interfering in the fight. And see, the reason she's upset is because she has this arranged violent encounter that she experienced when she was a young girl, and every time that she kind of simulates that back again, she has this power that comes over her to where she's able to leave the body during these near death experiences, and she's particularly desperate to use the ability right now to help her daughter, or to maybe even save her daughter. We could say Billy, who is in a hospital and hovering between life and death of her own because of a motorcycle accident that she was involved in. So we want to thanks to Julie's ability to be able to cross over to the other side, Billy winds up making a full recovery, the daughter, and then Joe moves in with the mother and daughter, frequently engaging in some sex. More disturbing is the fact that Billy starts coming on to Joe and soon seduces him, meaning Nicolas Cage or Joe. But it's not as perverse as maybe I just tried to describe it there, really in the sense, because as Billy explains, her body has been possessed by Joe's dead wife. And what is really more complicated and bizarre is Nicolas Cage is really speaking and having a relationship with his dead wife instead of the Julie's daughter, Billy. So if you want to take that into account in the film, that's kind of one little twist and a little bit of the dark humor or the black comedy that I think has been thrown into this mix in the film. So I want to keep that in mind there. Really, besides that, really, the film kind of ends like you would believe it would and expect it um, to where, and you have to forgive me. I had a little trouble with this movie, to be honest with you. I'll just kind of interject to my thoughts on the film right now, because I think maybe this is a good place to interject those thoughts on. I had a little trouble with this movie. I watched it once, and then I'll be honest with you, I didn't care for it. Didn't like it at all. And I came back to it, I don't know, 3 or 4 days later, watch it again, sit down and watch it again. And I think I enjoyed it a little bit better the second time than I had the first time. If I was going to put a rating on this after I watched it early last week, I probably would have given it a 3 out of 10 in terms of that. Didn't like it at all. Had a chance to kind of walk away, think about the movie a little bit, and then I came back and I watched it again for the second time. And I'll say that I enjoyed it a little bit better the second time. I also went into both movies with an open mind, as I do each week when I'm reviewing these movies. And I went from a 3 up to about a 6 on this film. And you might say, well, Doug, what changed your mind the second time? One is, I think here lately, sometimes Nicolas Cage is just throwing movies together. I think he did, 10 films in a 2-year period. And I know that he's a much better actor than some of the previous movies that we have reviewed here on The Complete Works. And so I kind of went into the second viewing as this is an Academy Award winning actor. He went from A-list down to kind of a B character, in my opinion, list. And I kind of opened it up with a fresh pair of eyes, looking at it that way. And I found the movie not to be as rough, bad, as I had originally looked at it and provided my thoughts on it. So I will provide a final review of the movie at a 6 in terms of that. Like I said, it had a little bit of the dark humor in it, or dark comedy, if you will, in this. And I think it worked in that sense with the film. But when I first when I first watched the film, and I know this is not true, but walked away thinking that it must have been not only written but shot all in the same time period. And I know that's not true, and I thought that was a very unfair analysis of the film Between Worlds, because the concept works. I like the idea. I just think it just needed to be fleshed out a little bit better. It needed to be maybe rewritten a little bit stronger. The idea is there, but I just felt like it was rushed. I thought that was unfair to somebody like Nicolas Cage. So that's why I decided to watch this film again. I'm glad I did, because I actually walked away having a much better understanding and appreciation of the film. And like I said, the movie works. The concept is there. I really like the idea. It's just that in an hour and a half, there were some things missing in it. Now, I can't really tell you what was missing. I just walked away with the feeling that the film wasn't finished. It was missing something, and I just wasn't pleased with it. But I was pleased enough to be able to move it from a 3 up to a 6 in terms of the film there. Like I said, the movie's approximately 90 minutes, about an hour and a half. It's an R-rated movie. The movie works. It's a great concept. It's just, for me, I can't give it anything higher than a 6 out of 10. But I hope you enjoy watching it, and maybe you have a different reaction, a different feeling of the movie than what I did. But I thought it was worth giving it a watch, especially if you're a Nicolas Cage fan. I think you'll at least enjoy watching the film. So I'd like to thank you for listening to this episode of The Complete Works. You can find out more of my work on film-book.com. Just search Doug Hess or The Complete Works. You can also find me on Twitter at HessDoug14. Again, that's HessDoug14. If you listen to the podcast on iTunes or another podcast service, please rate the service in this episode. If you're listening to this podcast on the YouTube channel Film Book Podcast, please like us, like our video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment in the comment section. You can tune in next time when I review and analyze the next Nicolas Cage film. I want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you then. Take care, everyone.